Titan never barks at strangers, not once, not ever. But every single evening, right before the porch light clicks on, he walks to the front window and waits. 155 pounds of solid black Great Dane, standing perfectly still, staring at the driveway like he already knows something the rest of the family doesn't. And beside him, always a few steps back, a smaller shepherd named Rex takes the exact same position, ears up, body tense, eyes fixed on the same spot. 2 guardians, 1 little girl asleep upstairs. A routine so precise it looked rehearsed, though no one had ever taught them to do it. It had simply started on its own, long before anyone in that house understood why it mattered so much. But to understand why these 2 dogs stand guard together every single night, we have to go back to a spring morning, almost 2 years earlier, when a tiny girl named Lily came home for the very first time. Sarah and her husband Mark had lived in their quiet suburban house for 3 years before Titan arrived. He came from a breeder who specialized in gentle giants, and even as an 8-week-old puppy, he was calm in a way that surprised everyone who met him. He grew fast, faster than either of them expected, and by his first birthday, he was already taller than Sarah when he stood on his back legs. He was patient with children in the neighborhood, careful around smaller dogs, and endlessly loyal to Mark, who had raised him from the very beginning. Neighbors sometimes crossed the street when they saw him coming, unsure what to make of a dog that size. Mark never minded. He always said the same thing. People are afraid of what they don't understand yet. Rex came almost a year later from a local shelter that specialized in working breed rescues. He was leaner, sharper, and far more alert than Titan, the kind of dog who noticed every sound a house makes at night. The shelter had listed him as protective and a little wary of new people, the kind of dog most families walked past without a second look. Sarah and Mark weren't looking for a second dog, not really, but something about his eyes in that shelter photo stayed with them for a week. They brought him home on a Saturday morning, and Titan greeted him at the door like he had been waiting for a partner all along. Within an hour, Rex had already claimed a spot by the front window, as if the job had been his idea from the start. The 2 dogs figured out their roles almost without instruction. Titan was the one who stayed close, who leaned his weight against you when something felt heavy. Rex was the one who watched the edges, the windows, the driveway, the places where trouble usually starts. Neither dog seemed to mind sharing the job. They simply divided it between them, the way 2 people might divide a long shift without ever discussing it out loud. Then in the spring, Lily was born. Sarah carried her through the front door wrapped in a soft blanket, and both dogs were already sitting in the hallway waiting. Titan approached first, lowered his enormous head, and sniffed the bundle in Sarah's arms with a gentleness that made her eyes fill with tears. Rex hung back a moment longer, watching, before he finally stepped forward, too. From that morning on, neither dog left her side by choice. But what happened over the following months would prove that this wasn't ordinary affection. By the time Lily could crawl, Titan had already learned to lie down flat whenever she reached for his ears, letting her pull and tug without so much as a flinch. Rex learned something different. He learned to walk a few paces behind her wherever she went, close enough to catch her if she stumbled, far enough to never crowd her small, unsteady steps. When she started walking, the 3 of them moved through the house together almost every single day. A tiny girl trailing a blue balloon, 1 giant black shadow ahead of her, and 1 smaller, sharper shadow just behind. If this story is touching your heart the way it touched ours, please take a second and subscribe. Every subscriber tells us these small, quiet moments still matter. Little did Sarah and Mark know, the real test of that bond hadn't happened yet. The dogs had their own private games with her, the kind that only made sense once you'd watched them for a while. Some afternoons, Titan and Rex would wrestle gently on the living room carpet, rolling over each other while Lily stood a few feet away, giggling, waiting for her turn to join. Neither dog ever played rough near her, no matter how wild they got with each other seconds before. The moment she stepped close, both of them softened instantly, like a switch had been flipped somewhere deep inside them. At night, it was Rex who checked the nursery first. Every single time, nose to the door before anyone else had even thought to get up. Titan took the harder job, the stillness, lying at the foot of her bed for hours without moving, one ear always turned toward the hallway. If you've ever felt this kind of quiet, unshakable loyalty from an animal, you already understand why families like ours never forget it. Sarah started calling it the evening handoff, one dog settling in as the other rose to take his post by the window. Some stories, like this one, are too good to keep to yourself, and this family's certainly is. Neighbors began noticing it too, the way the two dogs seemed to trade shifts without a single command from anyone. One older woman down the street told Sarah she'd never seen anything like it in 30 years of owning dogs herself. And then came the week that changed how the whole family saw them. It started with a plain white van parked across the street. Nothing unusual at first, just a vehicle near the curb for an afternoon. But it came back the next day, and the day after that, always around the same hour, always facing their driveway. On the fourth morning, Sarah noticed both dogs frozen at the living room window, Titan's body rigid, Rex's ears locked forward, neither one making a sound. She followed their gaze and saw the same van, engine off, someone sitting inside watching the house. She called Mark. Then she called the police. An officer arrived within minutes and walked the perimeter of the yard slowly, glancing more than once at the two dogs still frozen by the window. He told her there had been 2 attempted break-ins on their street that same week, both homes without dogs. Theirs was the only house the van had never approached past the curb. When the officer left, Sarah sat down in the kitchen floor between Titan and Rex and pulled them both close, finally understanding what that quiet, nightly routine had actually been protecting all along. What she realized that morning would change the way she looked at both of them forever. Today, Lily is a toddler who runs the length of the house with a bright blue balloon trailing behind her, and both dogs still fall into position without being asked. Titan walks ahead, steady and slow, letting her lean her small hand against his shoulder whenever she needs to catch her balance. Rex trails a few steps back, watching everything she can't see yet, ears turning toward every new sound in the yard. Sarah still catches herself standing at that same front window sometimes, remembering the morning the van finally drove away and never returned. She doesn't think of them as one guardian anymore. She thinks of them as a team, 2 very different dogs who quietly agreed, long before anyone asked them to, that this one small girl was worth watching over together every single day. Mark says it best. One gives her his heart, the other gives her his watch. Maybe some dogs are simply born to divide the work of love between them. So tell me, do you think Titan taught Rex how to guard her? Or did Rex already know from the very first day? Let me know in the comments.